everyone, and welcome to Booktrib's 15 Minutes with, a Merrill Moss Media production. Today we're thrilled to welcome Harlequin Desire author Kat Schield. Kat has written a number of series for Desire, including The Sheridan of Royals, Texas Cattlemen's Club, Case Brothers, and The Las Vegas Knights, of which is her latest book, The Black Sheep's Secret Child, is the newest release, in the first in the Tease Club trilogy. Welcome, Kat. It's so great to talk to you today.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Oh, well, we are glad to have you, and we want to talk all about The Black Sheep's Secret Child and the characters that we're reading about. So can you tell us a little bit about them?
Sure. The hero of the book is Trent Caldwell, and he is a nightclub owner, and he is also a part owner of a record company that ties into the later books as the series goes on.
Okay.
The heroine is Savannah Caldwell. It is his former lover and also his sister-in-law. She is widowed. She married his brother, and now she's widowed.
Oh, okay.
And she gave birth to their child, but he doesn't know about it.
Oh, okay. Ooh, wow. Juicy. So can you explain a little bit where this falls into the Las Vegas Knights series? Because you already have a trilogy in there. How is it broken up? And this is starting a trilogy of its own within a series. So tell us a little bit of how it's working.
Sure. The first three books were the Fontaine sisters. They were three half-sisters that were running three casinos in the Las Vegas area. They were competing to run the Fontaine Resort and Hotels Corporation.
Okay.
And so that's what those three books are. These three books play into that same world in that I actually do introduce some of the Fontaine sisters and their love interests through this series.
Okay. How do you keep it all straight? Do you have like a board somewhere, note cards? How do you keep it all straight for writing moving forward, too?
Yeah, I actually have a wonderful program. It's called Evernotes. And so what I'm able to do is it works really, really well. They're kind of like electronic note cards.
Okay.
And so what they do is I can put a heading on the note card, and then they go into a notebook, sort of like a file or a folder that's a notebook. And I'm just able to, keep everything in one folder. And as I'm needing to pull information out, then I just go and click on the basically Las Vegas Knights trilogy or the Las Vegas Knights series, and all the information is in there.
Oh, interesting.
And so then what I'll do is I'll cut and paste snippets from the different books to make sure that I'm maintaining my continuity. How long has it been? How many years was this happened and all of that. So as I go, I put all that stuff in there.
Oh,
so it's like a Bible.
Yeah, absolutely. So how can you actually, we'll go here first. Can you talk a little bit about what else is coming down the pike for Tease Nightclub?
Sure. The second book is Nate Tucker, the second T of Club Tease. And he is a singer-songwriter. He's kind of based off of Ryan Tedder of One Republic.
Okay.
And so he's kind of the full package. He's a music producer. He's a singer-songwriter. He's just brilliant. And his love interest is Mia Navarro. And she is a songwriter. She's also the sister of a pop princess.
Oh.
So they fall in love on tour under the radar. So her sister doesn't know anything about it because they're twins, and she's it's loosely based off of, I kind of liked the idea. I pull a lot of stuff from movies or TV shows or whatever, and I got the idea from American Sweethearts with Catherine Zeta-Jones and Julia Roberts.
Absolutely.
So then the third book is Melody Caldwell, which is Trent's sister, and Kyle Taylor, and he's also an owner of the club.
Okay.
And he is a former baseball star.
Wow.
He got injured, and now this is what he's doing. So he's invested in the club as well.
Okay. A lot going on. So lots to look forward to. That's excellent. What about how do you decide on all the different storylines? Even within that trilogy, so many different things going on. Does it come to you? Is it spontaneous? Do you have like a list of things you want to tackle?
It's kind of different for each book. I had an idea about the nightclub, and I knew what I wanted to do with that. As to whether, the stories just sort of develop off their, I've come up with a couple of characters, and I sometimes will have an idea, like I wanted to investigate what it was like for, a guy to basically have his ex-lover, marry his brother. And sort of what was that going to cause for conflict in their relationship. Absolutely. So I kind of just, I'm interested in people. So I'm always kind of looking for interesting ways of throwing people together and making them, deal with each other.
Figure it out, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about your background? How did you get into this? Did you always know you wanted to be a writer?
Yeah, I've been writing a long time. I wrote my first stories when I was in high school. I actually hand wrote my first stories, my first books. And then I just have been at it for a long time. It took me about 30 years to actually get published.
Okay. Wow.
I'm a very slow learner. So I just worked and wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote. And I didn't always submit for publication. A lot of times I just wrote because it's what I love to do. Tell stories is what it's all about. I have so many books. I mean, there are people that say, oh, I wrote a book and I got it published. And it's like, well, I wrote about 20 and then I got one published.
And which one was that? Which one was the first published?
The first published book is Meddling with a Millionaire. Okay. And that was a really fun book to work on. It started my Case Brothers series. Again, I knew I had to have, a bunch of guys together, right. Band of brothers. And he's a half brother. And so again, it's that, he's working in the family business and his two brothers are not really all that excited about having him around.
Right.
So I like I said, I like those family sorts of relationships. They make things interesting.
So you were the 2010 Romance Writers of America Golden Heart for Series Contemporary Romance recipient.
Yes.
What was that like, and how did it kind of change things for you?
It was really an amazing experience. There's nothing quite like being part of a group of writers that are all just really, I'm not saying this right. It's really interesting because you form this connection with the people that you final with.
Okay.
And it took me a long time. I submitted to the Golden Heart a lot, and it took me a long time to get my only final, because I sold the book about a month later, or not that book, but my meddling book a month later. But it's really very exciting because these are your peers.
Yeah.
And so to win it was just surreal. It was just like at that point I was almost more exciting than selling my book, to be honest.
Oh my goodness, wow.
Because it was just, I don't know, it's just, they make a big deal out of it. It's a huge ceremony, and, you're up on a stage and there's lights beaming at you, and, there's the whole audience that's staring at you, and it's kind of intense.
Yeah, I'm sure. But that moment that I'm sure most authors and writers, hope for one day.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great.
What's the best piece of advice then that you've learned that you can offer maybe to an aspiring romance writer? Or?
I think the biggest thing that really people need to do is read. You got to read,
Absolutely.
read. And while you want to read people that have been in the business a long time, it's also really important to read what is fresh and new. So read debut authors, read books that are recently published, because especially if you're going through a publisher, you kind of need to know what they're looking for. Mm. You also need to know what is hot, what there's too much of. If there's a flood of,
Absolutely.
If there's a flood of a certain type of book, you maybe don't want to write that book right at this time. You might want to write something different, because you got to remember they're seeing, when this book was bought, it was probably, a year to 2 years earlier.
Okay.
So they're seeing a flood of, the publishers are probably seeing a whole bunch of those kinds of books.
Right, exactly.
So, so that's the biggest thing, I think, is reading and write. write and write and write, because, you have to have that million words before you're,
Yeah, exactly.
before you're really accomplished, that you're accomplished at writing, and what your craft is.
Definitely. So you write royals, you write cowboys and billionaires. Is there anything or anyone that you haven't written, you'd like to try, genre you'd like to dabble in, anything like that?
Well, actually, yeah. I've got an idea for a young adult book, a paranormal young adult book.
Oh.
It's kind of the character is a college-age girl, and she has psychic powers that she doesn't really know about. And the first time she kissed a boy was when she was 11 years old, and she saw him die in a car accident.
Oh, wow.
So she's really afraid to get close and touch people. So she ends up going to a party and ends up getting kissed and sees her best friend being killed.
Oh, wow. What an interesting storyline.
Yeah. I think it'll be really fun. And so then she's got to figure out who the guy is before it happens.
Absolutely. So is this a 2017 or later?
Oh my gosh, way later. Yeah, I've got a lot going on right now. So yeah, it'll be some, I'll see when I can fit it in.
All right. Well, speaking of 2017, what can you tell us about some things that you have coming up?
I have the next Texas Cattlemen's Club book. The next series is Blackmail, and I'm really excited about this particular book. I have the second book in the series, so it's coming out in February. It's called The 2-Week Texas Seduction, and it was such a fun book to write. The characters pretty much just wrote themselves.
I'm sure, yeah.
And it's very flirtatious. The heroine is being blackmailed by a mysterious maverick, and she decides, rather than paying the blackmail, she is going to try and save her property, because her ranch is in jeopardy, by tricking the hero into giving up his claim on it.
Oh.
That he doesn't know about.
Uh-oh.
So it's really fun. It was a really fun book to write. They just sparkled, with each other. It doesn't always happen that way.
Absolutely. Sometimes it just jumps off the page, right?
Yep. And then I have the second book in my Las Vegas Nights Club Tease series coming out. That will be, the second book will be Nate and Mia. And that one's called Red Hot, what am I? Red Hot Scandal, no, Little Scandal.
It's hard to keep them all straight.
It is. It's hard to keep them all straight. It's Little Scandal, Red Hot Secret, or something like that.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. We'll look forward to it when it comes out, I'm sure.
And then the third one will be coming out in September, and I'm actually in the process of writing that one right now.
Okay. All right. So lots to look forward to, lots to be excited about. That's excellent. Yes. So what about you as far as reading? What are you reading right now? Do you have a to-be-read list?
I have a huge, huge to-be-read list. What am I reading? A lot of things. I tend to bounce around with books. I'm reading Hitched by Kendall Ryan, which I'm really enjoying. And I'm reading some young adult stuff by Karina Holly.
Okay.
I think and I'm just finished Sarah J. Maas's Empire of Storms, and I am just so I was just wrecked at the end of that book.
Oh wow! Okay.
Have you read it?
No, I haven't read that one.
Yeah, it's there's the next one's coming out in next year, and it's a good cliffhanger. So
okay.
I like to read a lot outside my genre as well as inside. So I read a lot of fantasy. I read mystery. I have a huge to-be-read pile. And I like to listen. I listen to a lot of audiobooks.
Oh, okay.
And so that's always kind of a fun thing for me to do too. It gets me, I can read or listen and do other things at the same time.
Absolutely. Now, are your books are on audiobook as well?
Some of them are. Two of the Las Vegas, the first trilogy are the A Merger by Marriage and A Taste of Temptation are both out in audio. My Nanny Makes Three, which was my January book from this year, Texas Cattlemen's Club book was
Right.
also, and then this book,
Okay.
The Black Sheep Secret Child, is also
Do you have
out on.
anything to do with that process, or are you involved at all?
The best thing that I get to do is I get to choose my narrator.
Okay.
And so
Important.
Amy,
That's important.
yeah, it's huge. And so Amy Landon has done the last two the Texas Cattleman Club book, and then this one. And I really like her. So I was really excited to have that continuity.
Absolutely.
Because it's really important, I think, who reads the stories.
Oh, definitely. It can completely change how you read or listen to a certain book. I know I have a couple of favorites that I've read over and over and over again, and I thought, oh, why not get it in an audiobook when I want to listen to it? And I had to turn it off because I was like, this is not the book that I read. So I think it's super important.
Yeah, it really, really is. So
Definitely.
that's
okay. I like asking that question because I always wonder how much the author is involved in that process.
Yeah, it's not as much as, I mean, it's enough to pick that narrator. That's a big part. So.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, unfortunately, we have come to the end. It's amazing how quickly it goes by. But thank you so much for joining us, Kat. Really appreciated your time. And of course, everyone, The Black Sheep Secret Child is out now, so go get it. And we look forward to speaking again in the future.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Bye, everyone.
Bye.